In general, I believe that there is a genuine curiosity among the current youth to understand the history and to understand where we come from, considering the constant bile that is spewed out in the name of identity politics from all spectrums and from all parties concerned, so to speak, in national discourse. So I think the best way to actually address this particular issue is by directing students and youngsters to the right sources, or perhaps all sources, but most importantly, sources which are intellectually rigorous and which are fairly reliable. So, as opposed to specific books, I would recommend authors, given that ultimately books also are the product of an author's vision in terms of what he or she wishes to present to the audience. So, I would start off with Swami Vivekananda's writings, his speeches. I would also focus on the works of Sri Aurobindo. I would focus extensively on the writings of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the true genius that India has produced in the last century or more. I think he is one of the underrated geniuses, because I don't think he got his due when he lived, and subsequently he's been hijacked by all the wrong parties who are nowhere comparable to his erudition, his vision, his scholarship, and who do not come even remotely close to his own love for India. He was at heart an Indian who loved this particular country. In fact, he was one of the few people who openly said that he would never support a separate constitution for Jammu and Kashmir. And he was in principle opposed to making Article 370 a permanent solution. So I think it's imperative to read Ambedkar again to understand what did he truly say, because I think people are quoting him selectively. It's important to read his book on Pakistan or Partition of India, his work on communism, his work on annihilation of caste, especially the correspondence that he exchanged with Mr. Gandhi, which is in the epilogue of the book of Annihilation of Caste. Then the context in which the book called Annihilation of Caste was written, where he was actually summoned to address as the president of the Jatpat Todak Mandal in Lahore, in the Lahore session. So these are books that I think make for mandatory reading. Apart from that, notwithstanding the controversial status that Max Muller has acquired, his works are important to read, because while he propounded, or he started off using the word Aryan in a racial sense, he subsequently clarified that he never meant it in a racial sense. His book, India, What It Can Teach Us, which is a short book which is available on, I think, on Kindle, is an extremely important book to read. It's a fantastic book on what Indologists of the 1800s and 1900s thought of India. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan must be read. And in fact, there are several authors. But I think once you start reading these people, then you get a true sense of how, in fact, I think it's important to read even Bhagat Singh for that matter, because while today a certain ideology has become associated with an anti-Indian disposition, this man, notwithstanding the fact that he was an atheist, an avowed atheist and a communist according to his own ideology, was an Indian communist whose heart was beating for India and who died for India, as opposed to people who wear leftism on their sleeve and work actively towards the breaking of this particular country. So I think it's important to read these people so that people who are misdirected can be brought back on track, and they understand that ultimately their interest lies in the betterment of this country and not in the breaking of this country.